डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी.
Good afternoon, dear students. I, Dr. Chintan Waghela, working as an assistant professor of English subject at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University, Ahmedabad. Dear students, our today's educational quote is all about the great aim of education is not knowledge, but the action. The great aim of education is not knowledge, but action, which has been said by Herbert Spencer. Let's discuss the meaning of this quote and then we'll start our the session. Education is not knowledge, but the action. Dear students, we are getting the knowledge, we are acquiring the knowledge, we are acquiring the education also. But the main thing is all about that we have to put in implementation whatever we are learning, whatever we are achieving, and whatever we are acquiring. Getting all these things, knowing all these things doesn't matter every time, but we have to put in implementation and we have to make it impactful. So, that is the meaning of this quote. Let's start our today's session. Let's discuss the today's components of presentation. Dear students, today we are discussing total 6 chapters summary, chapter 1 to 6. First slide, it is all about the chapter 1. The narrator begins by looking at Oxford College, comparing how men and women are educated and the differences in their lives. She spends a day reading British literature about women, but all of it's written by men and filled with anger. Finding little about women's daily lives, she decides to imagine and creates their experiences herself. Second slide is all about the chapter 2. Let's discuss. She describes visiting the British Museum to explore the history and writings about women, while she examines the way women have been represented in historical records and literature. After her research, she concludes that England is dominated by a patriarchal system where men hold the power and shape the narrative, leaving women largely overlooked and misrepresented. Third slide, it is all about the chapter 2. Let's discuss in chapter 2. The narrator gives a brief history of women and women writers. She points out something strange. In real history, women were often ignored, but in stories, poems and history, they are shown as important and affecting man's actions. She says women seem powerful. She says women seem powerful in stories, but in real life, they often appear unimportant. They are all over poetry, but almost missing from history. In stories, they control kings and heroes, but in real life, they were usually controlled by the man. In next slide, we are having description about the chapter 4. Let's discuss. She regrets that women's talents were often affected by anger and frustration, making it harder for them to make an impact. However, things started to change when some women began earning money from writing. She also says money makes what is unpaid for more important. She also mentions Jane Austen as a key figure and says here was a woman writing about 1800 without hate, bitterness, fear, protest, or preaching. Next slide is all about the chapter 5. Let's discuss chapter 5. She creates a fictional female writer to show what a typical writer of that time would be like. In her story, two women are friends and there is no focus on men. Woolf thinks women writers are close to being independent, having money, and a room of their own are important. And women writers are almost there. Next slide is all about the chapter 6. In sixth chapter, she finishes the essay by asking women to take on tradition given to them and make it better for future generations. Using the idea of catching fish or creating ideas, she encourages women to write, travel, relax, dream over books, hang around street corners and let their thoughts flow freely. She urges women to gain the freedom of thought and create their own literature, which will in a way have its own space and impact also. So dear students, I hope that you have enjoyed today's session. Today we have discussed chapter number 1 to 6. Thanks to all for giving your valuable time. Thank you.